What's up guys, this is Brent with Western Equipment, and in this video I'm going to show you everything there is to know about the John Deere Z530M. Let's start first by talking about the model number. Now, as you'll see here, starting out we have the letter Z, so this is going to indicate that this mower is in the zero turn lineup. Next, we're going to have 5. This is going to be our series indicator. So within the zero turn lineup of John Deere, you're going to have Z3s, Z5s, Z7s, and Z9s. So Z3s are going to be your lowest in class, or on the smaller side of the class, and then Z9s are going to be all the way up in your commercial. So this is going to be the next step up from the smallest residential series, being in the Z5. Now next we're going to have the 30 here. This is going to indicate that this is a Kawasaki engine. Now in almost every zero turn lineup, what you're going to see is that if the number itself here ends in 0, you're going to have a Kawasaki engine, and if it ends in a 5, you're going to have a Briggs & Stratton or another make of engine. In this case, it is going to be a Kawasaki. Now within the Z500 series lineup, you're going to have 4 different models, which is the Z515E, the Z530M, the Z530R, and the Z545R. And just like in most John Deere equipment, what those are going to do is go up in the amount of features and quality that you're going to get, going from the E trim level up to the R trim level. So here you'll see that we are at an M trim level, so this is going to be kind of that mid-spec model. Next, let's talk about the seat here. Now the seat is going to be a good indicator in the Z500 series, other than of course the model number itself, of what trim level you're at, as far as whether it's an E, an M, and an R. Now on an E series Z500, you're going to see just a full yellow seat with the embroidered logo. Moving up to the M level, you will have this one cut and sewn piece here of green right here on the seat back itself. And then whenever we move to the R level, you're going to have green also here on the sides of the seat as well. So just a really easy indicator. If you don't happen to see that model number and you're wondering what trim level this Z500 is, you can always look right here at the seat. Now a little bit more about this seat is it is going to be a 20-inch high back seat. It is going to come with armrests here. These are going to be adjustable by simply turning these knobs either to the left or the right to either let them down or raise them up, just so you are comfortable whenever riding this mower. It's also going to have a really wide seat here, nice for those larger operators like myself. It's also going to come with the Comfort Glide system. So what this is going to be a system that allows this seat to move back and forth whenever you're riding. So right now we have it in that Comfort Glide position, and as you can see, it will pivot. So as you're going across that uneven terrain, you will have that pivot to go with the seat, or you can move this lever right underneath the seat here to the middle position, and that's going to lock it into place. And then if we want to move it all the way over to the left, then we can pick our seat position. So if you're one of those maybe shorter legged operators and need to be closer, you have that option. Or we can scoot this seat all the way back and in multiple positions in between to make sure that you are the most comfortable when sitting in this seat. Now I'm going to go ahead and hop onto the mower here. I want to point out a couple of things before I get on. One is going to be that you will have this bit of grip tape here on the deck, that black tape there, and that does indicate that you are able to step on this deck to get on. Now that's one thing about zero turns that may be nice for some people rather than a tractor style, is that they can be just a little bit easier to get onto, except with this model here, you can use the deck for that extra step. So we do have that grip tape, and then of course you have your handles here that you can hang on to. But if we get onto this mower right here, one thing that I love about the Z500 series is just how simplified everything is. They've gone through some upgrades in the last couple of years to make this machine just very, very functional, very easy. So the first thing I always like to point out is going to be the height of cut adjustment. Now this has changed. Used to, this was a lever that you pulled out, or a locking pin rather, and then moved down to change that height of cut, and then released it here with the foot pedal. But what we have now here is a magnetic pin system. So right here you have this pin that you're going to pull out. You have all of your cut heights ranging from 1 inch up to 4 inches. You simply just pick that cut of height, and we're going to push in with our pedal. So we even have this little yellow lever right here that's going to tell us to push in with our foot, push down on this button, and then that will unlock the deck. and lower that down to our desired height of cut. Now, if we want to go back into transport mode, it's as simple as pushing in on the pedal. It's going to raise it up and you're going to hear it click into place. And then once again, we can go ahead, change that cut of height. Maybe we're going to change it all the way down here to 1.5. Then we're going to push in, push down on our deck release, and that will lower that deck down. So very easy system. The nice thing about this too is that, like I said, this pin is magnetic. So as you can see, I can set it right there on the side and it does lock in just like that. But that will keep that pin from coming out of place so you don't lose it and you always have that there on board. Now next we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about our control levers. Now there is another part to these that will also help indicate to you what trim level your mower is in. So if you see the green levers here on the side, the green control levers, this is going to indicate that you are either in the M trim level or the R trim level. And of course here we're on the Z530M, so we do have those green levers. These are going to have different contour to them. As you can see, we have these different curvatures. We have that extended foam that goes all the way out here to the next to last curve. This is going to allow you plenty of positions here to make sure that your hands are comfortable when operating this mower. And then not only that, but we also have adjustable levers here. So if we pull these out and we look right over here on the side, we can see that we have these two nuts and bolts that go from the back side of the lever to the front here to where we can raise this up and down and adjust it either fore or aft. So you're going to have two positions from the up and down position, and then multiple positions in between where we can go fore and aft with these levers to make sure once again that you are as comfortable as you can be while in the operator station. Now the next thing is one that often gets overlooked whenever people are getting onto these mowers for the first time, and that is going to be our parking brake. So it is right down here to your left. It is orange. It is highly visible if you are looking to make sure that you know that this parking lever is here, because whenever we go to start this mower, before we can ever pull our handles in, we do have to release our parking brake. And here in a minute, I'll demonstrate what that will do to this mower if we don't drop the parking brake before pulling those levers in. Now, not really an operator control here, but this is one thing I like to point out while I am sitting here on the mower, is that we do have a very easily visible fuel gauge right here in the front of the mower, so we can see what our fuel level is at from a manual standpoint. But you'll also see as we move over here to the right that if I turn our key switch on, you actually are going to have a fuel gauge right here on the hour meter display. So this is a very nice feature. You don't have to be bending over looking to see how much fuel you have on the Z530M. You actually have it right here on your hour meter display. Now also on this display, you're going to have, of course, your hour gauge, and then some service lights will pop up here from time to time if it is time to do those annual maintenance or periodic maintenance items. And I'll go over more here in a minute and show you where the chart is for those things. Now over here on our right hand side is where all of our other controls are going to be. Of course, we have the key switch right back here. We have it in the on position. We'll go to the off position, and then of course all the way to the right would be the run position. To the right of the key switch is going to be our PTO engagement. Now this is what's going to turn our blades on or off. So whenever we get that mower up and going, we have it up to speed or about halfway throttle, then we can go ahead and pull this switch up, turn those blades on, and then to disengage, we simply push that back down. Now back behind is going to be your choke and throttle lever. So we have our choke here to the right that on those cold starts, or if we haven't started this machine in a few hours and we need to use the choke, we have this so we can push all the way forward, or right here in the middle. Sometimes you kind of have to play with this choke to get the machine to start. It depends on how much fuel it's needing, depending on how long it's sitting. So then we have our throttle lever over here to the left of that, which is going to be orange. We can see all the way down is slow speed, and all the way forward is open throttle or our run speed. And then right back behind our operator controls, we are going to have this large storage area right here. It's going to have various slots in it for you to put your different items. And then also what you're going to see is a 12-volt outlet on this machine right here. We can pop that open. That way we can have such things as our cell phone charger on board or whatever those items may be that need that 12-volt outlet. And one last thing that I always like to point out about the operator station is going to be the foot platform. So we have here on this foot platform a nice rubber mat. Now this is going to be another indicator that you'll see here on your E, M, and R series. So on an E series model, you will not have a floor mat from the factory. On an M series, you will have the floor mat that goes all the way to the front, but not up on the footrest. And then on an R series model, you'll have that mat that continues up onto the footrest, along with a couple of footrests that would actually bolt in, but you can add those things later on if you'd like. This is also going to be a very easily removable foot platform. It's not held in by a bolt or anything, so if we need to get underneath this foot platform to do any of the servicing of our deck, super easy to remove the platform. It is going to have rubber isolators on the bottom here to help reduce that noise from any jarring or any vibration that you may have when operating the machine. So overall, very, very comfortable operator station with tons of great features. Next, let's talk about our ROP system, which is going to be our rollover protection system. Now on the Z5s, this is going to be a very easy system to be able to change in and out, meaning we either raise or lower this system. It's also going to have 4 positions here that you can raise and lower this to, and we have these easy pull and push handles that we can simply pull in and turn. It tells you where the lock and unlock position is. So we would turn these on both sides, and then we'd be able to raise this structure up, turn those handles in, and then simply push till we find our position. Make sure that those handles lock all the way in. And then once you have this structure up and in place, now you're ready to tackle any of that hilly terrain or uneven terrain to make sure that you are safe whenever operating this machine, as this structure is rated to hold the weight of this mower. So if you were on one of those hilly terrain situations and you were to happen to turn this mower over or have any upset or overturn situations, this is the structure that will keep you safe. So instead of following our natural instincts and wanting to jump off of this mower, this is where you'd simply want to buckle up, hold on into the mower, let this machine roll over, and then let this structure stop the machine from rolling over on top of you, and then safely exit the machine. So very important that you know how this works. Once again, we'll go ahead and fold it back down by pulling these pins out. And then if we're in those situations where we're mowing around low-lying trees, things that we don't want this structure to hang up on, we can lower that down into the lowered position. Now, while we're still over here on the left-hand side of the machine, let's talk about a few things that we will see over here. For one is going to be our large fuel opening here. As you can see, one thing I like to point out is it does have this slot in it right here. If we happen to overfill, you won't have that pooling up on your machine. It will drain out right there and go back down to the ground or to that drip pan, whatever you have there. But this is going to be a large 3.5-inch opening with that tethered lid so you don't lose it. And this is also going to have a fuel capacity of 4.5 gallons. Now moving back here, we are going to have this other storage compartment over here to our left, which is going to contain 2 cup holders here. One is going to be larger than the other to make sure and accommodate all those different sizes of cups that you may be carrying on board with you. And then also back behind that is going to be another storage area. And also within that storage area is going to come a tool here for your mower. This is going to be able to adjust most of the bolts on your machine. And then you are also going to have a leveling gauge here for your deck that comes right here on board. It stays on board with you so that you always have it. So make sure that you know where those pieces are. Now let's talk about the engine on this machine, which is always going to be the hot topic on most mowers. So what you're going to see here is we have a 24 horsepower branded John Deere engine, but like I said, this is a Kawasaki engine, and you can see right over here on the right hand side that there is that Kawasaki sticker. This is going to be an FR730V, so this is in their mid-range residential going up to the commercial line, but still in that residential line of engine. So let's talk about a few of the service points on this engine. First is going to be the air filter, which is right here, easy to get to. You have one clamp holding this air filter in, and that is going to be a hand twist clamp that you can simply undo here. pull up, pull out on our filter, and then replace it, and then go back on with our hand twist clamp. Next will be over here on the left-hand side of the engine is where we're going to have our fuel filter. This is a V-twin engine, so you are going to have 2 spark plugs on this engine, and they are going to be located right here and right over here. And then next is going to be our oil system. So what we have over here on the right-hand side is you're going to see this yellow cap. This is going to be our dipstick, and our fill point. Right next to it is going to be this hose here with this twist nut on the top of it. This is actually going to be our drain that we can simply push through the loop there and then run this out the back of the mower to be able to drain that oil without making a mess. Very nice feature here on these mowers is that oil drain system. And then right below that is going to be our oil filter. Now it's in a little bit of a tough position with this loop holder here in the way, but if you have that filter wrench or that really strong grip, you can still get to that, and there is drainage spots there in the frame that will allow that oil to drain off whenever you're going to change it. Now, while we're talking about changing oil, I'll show you here how to raise up the back of the seat so we can get to that service interval chart. So there is a bar right here in front of the engine that we're simply going to pull back, raise up on the seat, and now this is going to expose us to the service interval chart, which is right here. This is going to tell you all the different times, hours of when we need to do those different types of service to this mower. It's also going to give you some key points here that you need to know on your mower of locations. It's also going to give us belt routing guides depending on our deck size, which we'll go over a little bit more here in a minute. And then this is also going to show us the cover to our battery. So very easy to get to the battery right there underneath the seat. Super easy to take that off, and then we can change out that battery or do any type of service while we're there. Now, while we're back here at the back of the engine, another point that I want to talk about is our transaxles. So on the Z530M, you're going to have the Tough Torque TZT7-Us. They're going to come with a 1-inch axle, and this is going to allow you for speeds to up to 8 miles an hour. Now you are going to have two reservoirs, one on each side of the mower. These are going to need to be checked every so often to make sure that the fluid is to the level it needs to be in these, as you have to think that you have 2 different hydrostatic motors here that are running each wheel. So we need to be checking the levels of fluid on both of those. Now also by the tanks here right in front, we're going to have these levers right here in front, and these are going to be our transaxle relief levers. So right now you can see here that they are to the outside position, and if we were to flip those both to the inside position, that is going to release these transaxles, and then once we release our parking brake, we'd be able to push this mower if we were ever in those situations where this mower was stuck, we weren't able to get it running, we needed to push it and get it out of the way. It's as simple as raising up the seat and flipping those 2 levers, and then we can move it. And then before we start this mower back up and go to run it, we need to flip both of those levers back to the outside position so that it is ready to go. Now, last thing here, while we're underneath the seat, you will notice that there are 2 springs here underneath the seat. These are going to act as your up and down suspension here on your seat. These are just going to help to make a little bit nicer ride on this mower. Nice heavy duty springs here so that whenever we set this seat down, we do have that spring comfort while we're riding and mowing those yards. Now let's talk about the mower deck on the machine. Now, of course, this is one of the questions, one of the most highly asked questions or most highly sought after parts of a lawnmower naturally. So what we have on the Z530M is the Excel Deep deck. Now here we have the Excel 54 Deep, meaning that this is the 54-inch model. But within the Z530M, you can also get the Excel 48 Deep, which is the 48-inch, and the Excel 60 Deep, which is going to be the 60-inch deck. Now these are going to be made out of 10-gauge stamped steel, and there is a lot of pushback all the time that I hear about how bad stamped steel decks are. But guys, I can tell you that John Deere has been using this same style of deck for years and years, corners, and the proof is kind of in the pudding here. So with these decks, you are going to get better airflow, being as that there are all rounded corners going throughout this deck, which is very important when we're talking about processing material, getting it chopped up, pushed out, and then dispersed out the side of the mower. So the stamped deck is a very good option. You're also talking about less spots that have been welded. You're talking about less corners. Whenever you have those corners in those welded spots, you're not only deterring that airflow, but you're also causing places for material to build up and collect. And where we have collected material, we can collect moisture. And then when we collect moisture, we can have things start to cause as rust or other interior damage. So the stamped deck is a good design. Don't let someone fool you. These are heavy duty made decks and they are made to last. Some of the things that prove that is going to be the weld mounts over here on the side. So this is our edging side over here on the left. So we are going to have that extra weld mount there to make sure to protect the lip of that deck whenever you're edging up against those sides of different things, whether it be curbs, retaining walls, whatever those things are, you are going to have that. And then next, one thing also to point out here is that you are going to have these dual captured anti-scalping wheels. So what I mean by that is these don't just come out on a single piece of iron here and then have the anti-scalping wheel bolted to it. We actually have a full U-shaped bracket here with that anti-scalping wheel in the middle. And then these are also going to be adjustable for the different heights that you're going to cut at. So here at the top spot, we're from 1 to 1.5 inches. Next spot, we're 1.5 to 2 inches. After that is 2 to 3 inches, and the bottom spot is 3 to 4. So we need to make sure and be adjusting these depending on the height that we're going to be cutting at. Now we talked a little bit about this a minute ago, but once again, here is our grip tape here on the deck, meaning that this can be stepped on to get on. And the reason why we can step on this is because we have these heavy duty steel pieces here that are acting as our hangers for this deck. So it is going to be able to bear the weight of you stepping on it to get on top of the mower. Now also around front, we're going to have our front caster wheels. Those are going to be anti-scalping wheels as well. And those are dual captured. There are 2 of those. They're actually going to be called rollers, but those are going to help to prevent you from scalping whenever going over those bumps that may be in the middle of the deck rather than out here on the side. Talking about our spindles here, nice thing is that on each side you are going to have these flip up spindle covers. They're also going to tell you here to use air and not water when cleaning these out. It's very, very important that whenever we're cleaning off the top of these decks and we're cleaning the deck in general, that we want to try to use air as much as possible, because the more that we use water, the more chance that we have of causing damage, causing rust, all of those things. So it says specifically right here on top, use air, not water. Now these spindles are going to be greasable, so we need to get down here and look underneath the pulley itself. You'll see right there on the side of the spindle housing a grease zerk. They're going to have that grease zerk on each spindle across this mower, and on whether you have the 48, the 54, or the 60. These are all going to be 3-bladed, 3-spindled mowers, so you will have those 3 grease points that you need to be making sure and taking care of. Now another nice feature to this deck is going to be the washout port here. Now this is going to be used for cleaning the underside of the deck in those situations where we have maybe high moisture, lots of buildup, lots of dirt caked underneath. We can simply hook our hose up here to the washout port, drop this deck all the way down onto either a concrete or asphalt surface, turn that water hose on, turn our mower on, start those blades, and allow those blades to churn and mix that water to help clean the underside of that deck, just so we make sure that we're keeping out as much dirt and debris as possible. Now over here on the sides with the spindle covers, very easy to get to. If we need to get to that center spindle, like I showed in the beginning, we can remove this middle platform. And then over on the right hand side, we're also going to have another anti-scalping wheel that again is going to be adjustable. So whenever we're going and doing those mowings, we need to make sure and adjust both anti-scalping wheels based on the height that we're going to be cutting at. And then we're also going to see over there on the right hand side a large discharge chute. That is also going to be flip up. That is to keep from damaging it if we happen to run over an obstacle, and also it's able to be flipped up for storage purposes, so we can get that up and out of the way to make this mower skinnier, to be able to get it in and out of those sheds, garages. But the wide opening is huge on this mower, because whenever we're talking about that air circulation, that processing of material, the larger opening that you have on the side, the better it is for that airflow and the clip disbursement, so that we're not causing windrows whenever we're cutting with this machine. It's able to more evenly distribute those clippings for a nicer cut quality. Now, before we talk about the frame and styling of this machine, one other thing that I want to point out are two huge maintenance features that you need to make sure and always be checking. And one is going to be very obvious to most mower owners, is going to be our deck belt. Now, I showed how you can get to that with the flip up spindle covers, also by taking off your foot platform so you can get to that belt, be able to inspect it, looking for any wear and tear. But there's also another belt on this machine that is going to run back to the engine. So if we were to look underneath the motor right here, we're going to have our transmission belt here, which is going to run our transaxles off of the engine. So we need to make sure and also be checking that from time to time, making sure that it is in good shape as well. Now, as far as the framing and styling on this machine, one thing I always like to point out is just the very sleek, nice looking design of the machine. Kind of has that aerodynamic, modern look to it. But the big part of this is going to be the frame design. As you'll notice, you have this large steel square tubing that's going to run all the way from the front of the machine to our heavy duty front casters, all the way out the rear of the machine. And you'll also see this nice grill around the back, and also some more of that tubing here along the back. And like I said, up here to our ROPS, the heavy duty steel tubing. This machine is built heavy, as if it were jumping up into that commercial class. So just keep that in mind whenever you are going from the Z3s to the Z5s. Right here you see it on a 530M. The build is substantial, so very, very nice from John Deere. Lastly, let's talk just a little bit about tire sizes, dimensions, and warranty on this machine. Now, on the Z530M, you're going to see on the rear, we're gonna have 22 by 9.5 by 10s, and then in the front, we're gonna have 13 by 6.5 by 6. Both of these are going to be pneumatic tires, so if you are worried about any type of puncturing or any type of flat tires, leaky tires, it may be a good idea to go ahead and get some tire sealant when you get this mower to put in those, just to make sure that we don't have those situations. But these are going to be nice heavy duty turf tires like you would expect on a Deere mower. Now, whenever we're talking about dimensions of this mower, let's start with length. Overall length from front to rear, you're looking at 76.9 inches. So we'll go ahead and just call it 77. Now, as far as widths and weights goes, there are a lot to go over on this mower, depending on those different options. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my spec sheet here. Now, if we're talking about width without the mower, if we had the mower deck off of the machine, you're looking at 46.6 inches. Now, whenever we have the 48-inch deck on with the deflector raised for storage, you're looking at 43.9 inches. And if we have it down, you're looking at 62.8. On the 54-inch deck, you're looking at 59.7 with the deflector raised, and then 68.6 with it down. And then on the 60-inch deck, you're looking at 65.6 inches wide with the deflector up, and 73.4 inches with it down. Now, whenever we're talking about height, with the ROPS folded down at our highest point here, we're gonna be at 48.6 inches, and then with it raised up, we are going to be at 71.1 inches. So being at that 46.6 inch mark, you're gonna be able to get this into most low clearing areas fairly easily. Now let's talk lastly here about weight. Now this is gonna depend on the deck, and this is going to be the number if the machine was full of fuel. So if you had that 4.5 gallons of gas in this machine, for a 48-inch deck, you're looking at 772 pounds. With a 54-inch deck, you're looking at 780 pounds. And with a 60, you're looking at 788 pounds. And last but not least is warranty. Now this is huge for a lot of mower owners because we know that we have a lot of moving parts on these mowers. We're talking about wear and tear. We have an engine, we have two transmissions. We have those instances where we could have issues. So on these mowers, we are looking at a 4-year, 300-hour warranty, whichever comes first. That is what is going to come standard for the Z530M. So that is going to be a bumper-to-bumper warranty that's going to exclude some things, such things as belts, batteries, tires. Your normal wear items that are not usually covered under warranty will not be covered under this one as well. So now I'm gonna go ahead and hop on the machine, start it up, let you guys hear it, show you that starting procedure with the parking brake here. So we wanna start it with the parking brake up. If we have it down and go to try to start the machine, Nothing's happening there. So I'm gonna go ahead and raise that up. I'm gonna push forward a little bit here on my choke. So there's how the mower sounds at that low idle. I'll go ahead and push that forward. That's what you're going to be at high idle. I'll go ahead and back that down just a little bit here. I'm gonna raise my deck up and then turn those blades on. Go ahead and turn those blades off. Now, like I said, if we were to try to pull these levers in and we have not lowered our parking brake, you'll notice right there that it kills the machine. So then we have to start all over here. Go ahead and start it back up. Put our choke up. And then now if I want to move the machine, all I have to do is simply lower the lever. Then I can bring in my control levers. And now I am able to move freely. Forward, back, very easy to control. Nice and easy. So guys, I hope you liked this video. I hope this video helped you out. And if it did, we just ask you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And also guys, if you're looking for any parts for your John Deere mowers or other John Deere equipment, make sure to go check us out, 247parts.com. And as always guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, make sure to check out this cool video and this one. Buy your parts right up here and subscribe right here.